Radio Play Comics is meant to adapt the stories mostly of great unadapted old and forgotten comics from the past. I use voice acting and narration to abridge the work as much as possible without lessening its impact, and to bring these stories to life the best way I can. Please enjoy. Hi, I'm Nick, and welcome to the Fusion Space for today's episode of Radio Play Comics, the Electric Blue Superman Saga, Part 1, The Shock of the New. I love 90s Superman, having started reading and collecting with the death and return of Superman in 1992 and kept going from there. When the Electric Saga hit in 1997, I was all in for it. Before we begin, I'll summarize how and why the transformation happened in the story with a brief recap of important events, but as for why it happened in real life, the answer is simple. Superman is boring. You see, Superman had one of the most solid and unchanging power sets in the DC universe since the Crisis. Despite the regular variations all heroes go through for monthly stories which quickly revert to a status quo, and so it was fun to see a radical change of pace such as Superman losing all of his old powers, even his physical body, and gaining a new energy-based form and strange abilities he would have to learn to use, starting from scratch in a way he never had to before as his old powers had grown along with his Kryptonian body. It's not that strange though, as Superman used to be marked by crazy transformations and new powers in the pre-Crisis era, which is why those old Christopher Reeve Superman movies often feature him doing odd things you wouldn't think of Superman doing, such as when he uses a blue ray from his eyes to rebuild the Great Wall of China in the quest for peace, or apparently counters the nuclear man's telekinesis to return some citizens to the ground safely. Superman in the old days could do anything the writers imagined, and we're more used to heroes having strictly defined powers in the modern age. So the entire premise is somewhat of a fun throwback to those days in the 60s, commonly known as the Julie Schwartz era, when even Batman was having zany adventures with aliens and crazy costumes every other issue. And Superman and everyone he knew were turned into all manner of strange things, even having a color of kryptonite red have a random effect every time it struck him, such as giving him the head of a lion or making him gigantic in size. Even while looking up images of events which led to the electric transformation, I ran across a pre-Crisis Superman comic with the same number as the issue in which he is hit with an energy beam and phased out of reality, and in the older issue he's hit with an energy beam and made to act like a baby, playing with a giant drum as a pail and buying a large lollipop. Probably pure coincidence rather than an obscure reference, but it proves my point that Superman is subject to change, most especially his powers, abilities, and even his personality. Superman Red and Superman Blue was another odd effect from this era. The Electric Superman saga shifts in its third act to bring back a Superman Red and a Superman Blue, one devoted to logic over emotion and the other just the opposite, otherwise identical in every way. Lois declares she's not sleeping with either one until there's only one husband again. Oh right, just before this Clark and Lois got married, and while Clark's pals from work may have playfully ribbed him that his suffering was just beginning, they had no idea how correct they would be proven in time. The Electric Superman saga would run for over a year across the 4 main Superman titles and a 5th title released quarterly from April 1997 to June 1998. And while it was never meant to be permanent, that's about as permanent as such a change can get in a book like this. They stuck with it and explored new areas of Superman's life and his world, revitalizing DC's flagship title and adding variety to JLA as well. And when everyone agreed the idea had run its course and the fans were yearning for a return to the old power, myself included, they finally came back in an organic and believable way in the Superman Forever special, and the book would once again feel fresh and new. Superman had been running for many decades by then, and it had to do things to refresh itself now and then, usually with good results. The Electric Saga was a jolt of much-needed fresh new energy in a title and a hero many considered to be too old-fashioned even back then, and who was often referred to as the world's biggest Boy Scout in derision, as this was the extreme 90s, the time of Wolverine and Spawn, so edgy heroes were very much in. This was a way for even Superman to get a little extreme, yet still do the old job Superman was always needed for, even if he had to invent brand new ways to do everything he used to take for granted. I always loved stories where heroes have to learn to use their powers, such as Kyle Rayner's introduction as Green Lantern, which I adapted as the New Flame, or the Ray in A Blaze of Power, the start of the 90s Ray series, both of which also happen to feature energy-based powers. It lets new readers gain an understanding of the world and its rules along with getting to know a new character. It all just meshes together so well that often the best part of a new series is that start, and then it fails to maintain that energy and dies out. Happened all the time in comics, and some great concepts went largely unexplored. Ask me about Tachyon someday on that score. Guy was connected to the source and had unprecedented godlike powers. 7 issues, and done. But I digress. Superman's energy form led to a time of fantastic and fascinating adventures, and was explored to its fullest. And while I don't want to spoil too much, I'll just say that it's not as random or meaningless a change as it may seem, and the whole saga is going somewhere definite in the end. So now, without further ado, let's recap the events that came before the transformation, and then we'll get on with the show. The fact is that Superman's powers had not been normal since he returned from the dead. Clark's spirit left when Doomsday killed him, then the Eradicator took his power and stored Clark's body in the Kryptonian regeneration matrix at the fortress. And when Superman returned to battle the Cyborg, he blasted said Eradicator and Clark with kryptonite, and through it that power returned to Clark's body and renewed his strength and abilities. Everything appeared normal, but Superman soon realized that his strength and powers were actually increasing. It was thought that perhaps his body was absorbing more yellow sun energy than normal to replenish its depleted stores, a lifetime of it used up in the resurrection process. But now it was out of control and causing Superman to grow in size, as well as needing to vent excess energy through heat vision blasts, then having to wrap steel around his head to prevent it from spilling out with his eyelids closed. It's times like this that stress how inhuman Superman is biologically, though his heart is as true as any man of Earth. Thankfully, he was able to use the parasite to absorb the bulk of his excess energy and return to normal, his powers seemingly back under control as well. As time went on, these events faded into memory, as did another power struggle following the final night when Superman's powers ran out on their own due to the lack of sunlight, and then failed to come back as they should have, leading to him and Lois having a powerless wedding and honeymoon period, which was a relatively peaceful gift for the newlyweds. Superman underwent a battery of tests by Professor Emil Hamilton, and with the help of Star Labs, flew into space near the sun on a shuttle, all in the attempt to jumpstart his powers returning. Finally they did return though, and it was back to normal for a while longer. The final piece of the puzzle comes from another thing that needs a bit of 90s explanation. The bottle city of Kandor seen in this story is not from Krypton and has nothing to do with Brainiac. Rather, it is a space wizard named Tolos who kept it, and used it merely to store various powerful alien gladiators he would take out and use for his own purposes, then return to the city to keep as prisoners. Superman defeated Tolos and took the bottle city, possibly named for the famous Kryptonian one of legend, but otherwise unconnected, to the fortress where it could be cared for as he and Hamilton searched for a way to enlarge it or free its citizens. In the process, Superman was phase-shifted into the city, which exists in its own pocket dimension like a tesseract, and this phase-shifting appears to have been the final straw in upsetting the balance of Superman's powers, and even the material his body is made of, and began his uncontrollable shift into formless energy. Superman has always faced every challenge before and beat it, but he always had his old body and powers to fight those battles with. Can he still find a way to do the job of Superman when he can't even touch a speeding bullet to catch it? When he can't stand in the car of a locomotive without shorting out its power? Or when he can't leap at all, but must instead streak over tall buildings in a single bolt? The answers lie ahead. And so, finally, let's begin. Kandor. The societal fabric of this city is woven from hundreds of worlds, cultures, and species. For what seemed like eons, they managed to live in peace and an uneasy state of unity. That was yesterday. This is today. A blue-skinned, horned alien pilots a hovercar carrying two women ahead of two patrol cars as they speed over a rioting crowd. "Surrender, Zaratak! This is your last warning!" "Kiss off! Break the coast! Break the coast! You are violating curfew! Return to your dormitories!" "You want me? Come get me!" He pulls a sharp turn and the hovercar zooms straight up the side of a tall building. "Zaratak!" "Stop screaming, girl. You don't like my flying? Feel free to step out any time." "Puh! Sir, Zaratak is violating the height zone. If he flies any higher, the law demands we shoot him down." "My brash son places us in an impossible situation. He thinks I haven't the courage to fire, when he knows full well that Tolos will ravage us if we don't. We have no choice. Prime the cannons. We pop the zone. We're free."
"Sir, your engines are giving out. They're designed to fail at this altitude."
"Puh, I should care. Better to die strong than live so weak." Zaratak's hovercar stalls out, flips over, and begins to fall. They pass the patrol cars on their way down. "Look out, he fried his turbo unit." "Death and freedom. Same thing if this place is the alternative."
"No, fire your engines. Please, don't give in."
"Give in? To them? Huh, me dying. That would make their day, wouldn't it?" The engines roar to life and the hovercar levels out just above the crowd.
Good. I wouldn't give them the satisfaction. Land your skipjack on that platform or we'll shoot. Go ahead. Our movement could use a martyr.
Saratak lands the car.
You might as well oblige us.
Will you stop asking for trouble?
Huh. You are definitely with the wrong guy, girl.
Saratak's father comes out to meet him.
You have dishonored me for the last time, Saratak. Don't you know what Tolos will do to us for your reckless acts?
Easy, father. Your hearts.
Let them burst all over Kandor. Anything to make my son wake up from his mad dream. A dream? Yes. Mad? No. We dream of freedom, of leaving this prison. I have spent my life building Kandor into a working, functioning society. We have a good and happy city that prospers.
Surely you can see that, brother.
I see chains, laws, and restrictions, nothing more. We eat the same synthesized food day after day, mired in a mindless culture that cannot change or grow.
He gets back in his hover car.
You were to succeed me on the council once I passed, boy. For your rebellious ways, I must remove that honor forever. Thanks. Best gift you ever gave me, old man. You honestly think I'd ever want to be in charge of this dump when all I want is out?
Saratak speeds away across the city.
Brash fool. He shames me to an early grave.
The Kandor connection. Meanwhile, in the apartment of newlyweds Clark Kent and Lois Lane, it's business as usual. For now.
Clark, we have got to talk.
What's wrong, Lois?
We're out of milk. You said you picked some up on the way home from work yesterday.
Sorry, hon. Guess I got so involved with that sharp business that I forgot all about it. Clark bounces his heat vision off a reflective piece of Kryptonian metal to shave his face. That should do it. Smooth as silk.
That's what I get for marrying a man who doesn't have to eat often.
Sorry, never did get into a normal routine for buying groceries.
As long as you don't develop any other bad habits, we'll be fine.
You're not dragging me into divorce court?
No, but I might drag you somewhere else. Come here.
Clark takes Lois in his arms, and they kiss. Toast pops out of the toaster, and Clark reaches for it. Allow me, madam. At his touch, it explodes in a flash of light. Hey!
Wow, that toaster must have shorted out.
Yeah, good thing it was me who... The door. Who could be here this early?
Don't forget your glasses.
I might forget the milk, but this is one habit I have down cold. Clark opens the door. Morning, Clarky. Hope you don't mind me dropping in. I brought the grub if you can furnish the coffee. Dirk Armstrong. Come on in, Dirk. This is quite a surprise. Is something wrong? I'll save the jelly fill for you two. To be honest, something is wrong. You two are closer to Perry White than anyone else on staff. Dirk takes a donut from the box he brought. And I'd like to know why he detests me. He won't give me the time of day. You're my supervisor, Kent. Tell me how to get on White's A-list.
Isn't it obvious, Turk? You're a hard-boiled conservative and Perry's a crusading liberal. He resents your columns.
Maybe so, but my columns have lifted the planet's circulation, and my viewpoint is just as valid as his. Even my daughter knows that just because my writings are conservative that I'm not heartless. You have a daughter? 17. A real pistol. Raised her alone after her mother died.
I'm sorry. I didn't know.
Of course not, but you never bothered to ask because you were against me from the beginning. From the moment I started, Perry White smeared me and folks listened to it. I'm not that bad a guy, Lois. How about you give me a chance to prove it?
Fair enough, Dirk.
Great. Here, have a donut. Coffee's ready. Tell you what, Dirk, I'll arrange a lunch for you, Perry, and me, and we'll start all over again. I'm sure we... Clark reaches for the pot, but his hand passes through it as if he were a ghost. What the...
Clark? Not today, Dirk. I don't want to lose my girlish figure.
But Lois, these donuts are great. I can't believe this. He stares at his hand in shock. Me either. These donuts were on sale at half price. Sounds like World War III out there. What's the buzz?
Sirens.
Lois, we totally forgot that we, have our appointment this morning. Sunday brunch with your parents, remember? Better hustle or we'll be late.
Oh, right. Sorry, Dirk. Wish we could chat longer, but...
No sweat, little lady. You folks have yourself a good feed. Lois hustles Dirk out the door with his donuts.
I promise I'll make up for the rocky start we've had. Next week, lunch is on me.
Really? Why, that's... Clark trails electric sparks in his path as he dashes at super speed to his costume in the closet. Super! Nice couple, those two. Hope they weren't just trying to get rid of me. Nah, who'd ask a guy with donuts to leave unless they had a good reason? Suddenly a police chase roars down the street. A robber shoots back at the cops and disables their car.
Wah! I knew those Metropolis cops couldn't take that kind of action. Ditch the wheels. We gotta slip down.
They all look forward in shock.
Whoop! Thought you said he wouldn't mess with small fish like us.
Maniacs like you are always my business. Superman stands in the road as the car smashes into him. And a crook is thrown through the windshield. Superman catches him with one hand.
Oh man, I'm bleeding.
A crook aims a gun at him.
You won't be the only one, Reggie.
Wow, that's Superman himself. Haven't you heard? Even a hailstorm of bullets bounces off me.
They passed right through me?
A man behind him is hit by a slug. Superman, what happened? You missed those bullets. Better end this before anyone else gets hurt. Couldn't you have caught them or something?
Help me.
Superman's eyes flash as he grabs the man.
I had.
The crook drops his glowing red gun.
You're lucky, creep. If I had heat vision, I would have melted your hand along with the gun.
Take over, officer. I'm taking this man to the hospital. But, Superman, I still don't understand. You should have moved away from us if that guy was gonna shoot. Come on. Superman's always been a hero of mine, but he's partially responsible for that man getting shot. Have I been wrong all this time? Is Superman a hero? Or a menace? Hours later, high above the Antarctic, Clark flies with Lois in his cape. I was lucky this time, Lois. The doctor said that poor man will make a full recovery.
Are you sure you'll find the answers here?
Don't let this wasteland fool you. It may look barren, but my fortress is far below the surface. It has the equipment we'll need to find out what's wrong with me.
My first trip to this secret little hideaway of yours. If the situation wasn't so serious, this would be a big thrill, and more than a little romantic.
Hang on, I have to use maximum heat vision to melt my way through the ice. He flies under the surface of the ice, burning a path ahead of them.
Clark, this is amazing. Is there anything you can't do?
That's what we're trying to determine. Lois looks around in wonder once inside the fortress. Here we are, Lois. I hope you like it.
Wow, those statues. Your biological Kryptonian parents, right? So that's how they dressed? It's just so amazing to see your link to another world. Though it must have been a really characterless world. Have you ever considered some carpets or drapes or something to liven things up a bit?
Some other time. First, we have to run a DNA scan.
Is that Kandor, the miniature city you told me about?
Yes, it's populated by tens of thousands of people who were imprisoned there by Tolos. In fact, many of the residents are descendants of his prisoners.
You mean real people actually live in that little... Clark, your body!
Superman's body appears transparent as Kandor glows near him. It's happening again, worse than before. I'm fading out of existence.
More than that, the bottle city is reacting as well. Could it be that you're being drawn into Kandor?
And at that moment, within the city, Saratak lands his hovercar and approaches the outside wall.
Saratak, you are passing the limits of the city. Approaching the dimensional barrier itself. You know that's forbidden.
Puh, who cares? If my almighty Pop and his goons object, let 'em come get me.
Get away from that barrier, Saratak. It's lethal.
Yeah, maybe this rock is luckier than we are.
He tosses a rock at it, which explodes upon contact.
Back away, Saratak. Appearing before you. It's... Clark! I don't understand how or why, but Kandor pulled him in. Oh, all the Pulitzers in the world won't help you solve this one, Lois.
You're right. Someone is appearing. And it's not the way Tolos the Wizard used to dump a victim in this cesspool.
Superman appears within the dimensional barrier wall of Kandor. I'm inside Kandor. Why?
Why did you do this to me? Can't understand a word you're saying, stranger, but I bet you're one confused man.
Clark, can you even hear me inside that bottle?
Lois presses her face to the outside, appearing gigantic.
Clark!
That face! We can only see out of this bottle when it's reacting to another dimension.
Lois! If I can see her, then I might not be locked in yet. Superman flies up towards her image.
Oh, the stranger thinks he can escape. This is the chance I've dreamed of. Hold on, stranger.
Saratak leaps after him.
You're taking me with you.
No, stay back or you'll ruin every... They collide in a flash of light.
Saratak! Gates of Kandor! That burned clothing can only mean... Poor Saratak! He's dead!
Outside the bottle, Superman returns to normal size.
Clark, you made it! Clark?
Ugh.
Clark, you look terrible. Are you all right?
A few weeks ago, Tolos tried to plug me into this bottled prison of his. Then one of my robots kept saying my DNA was messed up. I just thought his scanner was defective. I can't be sure, but something, maybe being knocked out of phase with this reality, or all those things, have changed me. I can feel it. I'm not the man I was.
Clark flies into the air once again, with Lois wrapped in his cape. We better leave in case Kandor makes me worse. Maybe Emil Hamilton can explain this transformation.
Clark, are you still changing? Or has it stopped?
I don't know, Lois. I just don't know. After they've gone, a hand bursts through the icy surface.
At last! After all these years, I'm free! Free!
Saratak emerges into the new world he's been dreaming of, glad to be alive, but elated to be anywhere that isn't Kandor. Next week in Adventures of Superman 545, Power Shift. What's happening to Superman's powers and why? Plus, the atomic skull strikes again. Glad to hear it, Professor Hamilton. Not many people enjoy being alone in the Antarctic. Well, yes, I guess it is a sort of fortress of solitude. I was wondering, any chance you could run a few tests on me? It's probably nothing, but my powers. Oh, science conference in Santa Marta. Of course, I understand. Like I said, it's probably... Yes, I could do that. Thanks, Emil. I appreciate this. Bad news, Lois. I have to go to Emil's right now. Can you handle things here?
It's a dinner party, Clark. We're not defusing a bomb. No mixing Perry White and Dirk Armstrong comes close. I know it's important, so just change to Superman and...
She unbuttons his shirt.
Better yet, let me help with that.
Lois. Funny. I have this dim memory I'm supposed to be going somewhere.
And you'll get there faster than a speeding bullet. In a little while.
She leans in to kiss him. A spark jumps between them.
Oh!
Sorry, Lois.
Not your fault, love. Just some static electricity. Huh! Just proves even though we're married, we haven't lost that... spark?
Lois's expression turns to fear. Lois? What? And Clark races to the bathroom mirror. Is it? He sees streams of energy leaking out from his eyes and his fingertips.
Clark?
Don't come any closer, Lois. Not until we find out what's going on. I'm sure Hamilton will be able to... Suddenly, feels so lightheaded.
Clark, you're falling right through the wall!
Superman passes through the wall. This can't be real. Why can't I fly? And falls between the buildings. What's happening to... He strikes the ground in a huge burst of lightning. Huh? Onlookers crowd around him as lightning streaks out from his body. Everyone, please stay back. I'm fine. Everything's under control. Power crisis.
Superman?
The one and only, miss. Even though I know I look a little different. That's putting it mildly. Even my vision powers are out of whack. I'm seeing wavelengths, frequencies, spectra I've never seen before. I might as well be blind. Biggest tip you'll get all day, driver. Buy my new book. That's right. You read that, you'll, that voice. See things in ways you never imagined before.
Dirk Armstrong. Last thing I want to do is give him a reason to write one of his inflammatory columns about me. If only everything wasn't spinning. Need to get a grip on something. Steady myself.
Clark reaches out and touches a parked car, causing his energy to stream into it.
Oh!
Dirk takes cover behind a trash can as the car explodes.
Good lord, is that really Superman or some sort of super menace? It's lucky no one was hurt. Vision's cleared. That's a big improvement. Excess energy must have ignited the car's gas tank. Alright, until this is under control, I better not touch things like...
Superman gets to his feet, which are sinking into the road, right in the path of
a crowded city bus.
The bus skids to a halt in a shower of sparks. As Clark falls through the sewers below.
Okay, being immaterial came in handy that time. Now if I could just figure out how to stop my descent before anything else goes wrong.
He makes contact with a power cable, and every light bulb on the street above overloads and pops. Lois runs past the flaming parked car.
Oh, great. Now the power goes out. Coincidence or... Clark? Superman?
I'm sure they're both busy trying to figure out what went wrong here, Lois.
Perry, are you all right? I'm sorry. If I'd known this was going to happen, I'd never have asked you to.
I have cancer, Lois. I'm not afraid of the dark. And no offense to your cooking, but right now, I'm more interested in the cause and extent of this blackout. Then you two are lucky I'm here. Dirk Armstrong likes nothing better than getting to the root of a problem. And dinner by candlelight. My contact at Met Power says they just lost the south side of New Troy Island and a good chunk of Queensland Park. Massive power surge. Cause unknown.
Thunder cracks again from underground.
Although I've got a pretty good idea.
And smoke billows out of the sewer grates, and the hole Clark leapt in the road. While, at Stryker's Island prison,
the grid's down. Where's backup power?
Generator's been offline since barrage escape.
Can't hold it.
Reds are sorry. Evacuate.
Free at last. Free from the bars that held me, yes. But not the sinister web of lies my archenemy has woven around me. Yet his dark falsehood shall be obliterated by the light of truth and the power of the atomic skull. Hold. That burst. Could it be? Yes, it must be. Dr. Electron. The time of reckoning is at hand, my foe. Justice shall be done. The woman I loved shall be avenged.
Meanwhile, Superman remains immaterial in the sewer, sparks leaping across his body.
Okay, the object is to get out of here into Professor Hamilton's lab without causing any more disasters. It'd be a big help if I could fly. But right now, I'd settle for being solid enough to grab onto something.
He reaches for a ladder, but his hand passes right through it.
It can't be impossible. Ma and Pa always said you could do anything if you put your mind to it. And after college, when I wandered the world, that temple in Butron,
Superman's energy field begins to calm down.
They taught me how to push all thoughts aside and find my center, my solid core.
His hand solidifies as it draws the energy back in.
But I've had my powers so long, grown so used to them. This is like learning to walk all over again.
Clark grabs the rung of the ladder.
Well, speak of the devil. Looks like I just took my first step.
On the street above, the atomic skull makes his entrance before Lois, Perry, and Dirk.
Zelda, my love! I had thought you dead, darling. I was even in prison, framed for your murder by my nefarious enemy. But once I find and defeat Dr. Electron, we will be together once more. Sorry, Bones, but you've got the wrong woman. This is Lois Lane, and she's married. Put a lid on it, Armstrong. Don't you know anything about the atomic skull? He's got this fixation, thinks he's the hero from an old movie serial. We contradict that. Metropolis might be the next Hiroshima.
The skull lands, taking Zelda, in his arms.
He spoke the truth. I see the ring on your finger. Why didn't you wait, Zelda?
I thought you were dead, just like you thought I was dead. Dr. Electron, tricked both of
Skull!
Superman climbs out of a manhole, with energy now lashing out from his glowing body and bolts.
Let her go, Skull. You've got a bigger problem to worry about. Me. Frederick? No. No, of course. Dr. Electron. You love Zelda too. I see that now. Her death was but an elaborate scheme so you could get hold of her.
Zelda breaks his grip and runs to Superman, or as it would appear, Dr. Electron.
You're the one who needs to get a grip, Skull.
Zelda! He has brainwashed you, Zelda, but I know you'd rather die than be his mindless thrall. I do this out of love.
With grim resignation, the atomic skull aims his deadly hand at her.
Lois, watch out! She'll never... No!
Superman flies at the atomic skull in a rage as he fires a blast at Lois. Luckily, Zelda is tackled to safety by Dirk, while the villainous Dr. Electron's energy assault is repelled by the heroic skull's atomic might, and he is thrown high across the city's skyline. Clark crashes into the Queensland Bridge ironwork, and bolts of lightning lash across it.
What was that?
Nice save, Dirk. Not that I haven't dodged my share of death rays before.
Just trying to do the honorable thing, Lois. Chivalry isn't dead, although it may have a heart attack soon.
Oof. Lois helps Dirk up as the delusional villain corners them.
Your heart died the day you began working for Dr. Electron, minion. The harvest of evil is unending, and its grim reaper is the atomic skull.
When Perry White, leaning against a wall for support, gets his attention.
Not so fast, Skull. They... damn it. They don't work for Electron. They work for me. Who? Don't you recognize me, Skull? I know you all too well. The Death's Head, the radiation, I've been fighting tooth and nail to beat you for so long, and this time's no different. But if someone has to die, take me. I'm the one you really want. Yes, now I remember you, my most noble enemy. If only it did not have to end this way.
The skull, like the hand of fate, reaches for him. Superman returns to the battlefield like a bolt of lightning. His body now glows bright blue and white, and fiery yellow energy streams from his hair and hands.
It's not going to end that way, Skull. No one dies today. How ironic those words are coming from you, Electron. I suppose this is the way it was always meant to end. You against me. If that's how you want it, Skull.
Superman and the skull leap toward each other, summoning their energies.
You're arrogant and confident now, Electron, but that will soon change. Glad I sound that way, because I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't know how powerful I am, what I can and can't do. I don't even know what'll happen when our two energy fields come in contact.
Upon contact, they trigger a massive explosion.
Maybe I'll take a rain check on that dinner, Lois. Lois?
Behind you, Dirk. Good thing we were behind that parked car, too. But where's Perry?
In the alley, Lois. I'm okay. Fine. Finally! After a lifetime of struggle and countless clashes with that terrifying titan, at long last, the atomic skull is triumphant! Dr. Electron is atomized!
After the dust settles, the atomic skull stands alone, and there is no sign of Superman to be seen. Think we don't mean it? Check out action number 732. Saratak is unbothered by the cold and wind as he makes his way across the frozen tundra towards the only sign of life, an Antarctic research base, where a plane is currently being loaded with cargo.
I admit it, Marston. I'm jealous that I'm accompanying these core samples to the Metropolis Museum. I have to, Amos. The fee the museum pays is part of our funding. I know, But energy research loses a bit of its charm after the 14th month. We haven't had anything exciting happen since that visit from...
Suddenly, a gout of plasma erupts from the icy surface.
Superman?
Superman's body is a storm of barely contained power in the shape of a man as he hovers near the scientists.
Is that... It can't be.
The saving skull.
Superman, are you...
No! Stay back! The situation could still be dangerous. Dangerous? That doesn't begin to describe it. Seconds ago, I was fighting the atomic skull in Metropolis, until an energy surge literally blew me apart. I felt myself disperse, drifting, and I couldn't do a blasted thing about it. Then, I remembered how these machines were designed to focus energy, and suddenly, I was here. Don't know if it was the machines or my mind, but I'm solid again. But the atomic skull... I have to get back to Metropolis.
We're headed that way, Superman. Want a lift?
Thanks, but an airplane would be too slow. The alien prince watches them from hiding. He doesn't understand the words these creatures speak, but looking at the figure of roiling energy, he knows one thing as bold as truth. He has found the object of his need. Control of whatever's happened to my powers seems linked to concentration. If I can just focus my will... Superman leaps up, and away into the sky like a bolt of lightning in reverse.
Holy... guess we should write up a report about this.
I'll fax you my part from Metropolis, Amos. Stormfront's moving in, and our takeoff window's about to close.
Okay, we got speed. Get set to...
The cargo plane takes off, having gained a bit of extra cargo, named Saratak.
What the devil was that?
Instruments are okay?
Must have been a crosswind.
A speech he doesn't know, but their gestures tell him this vehicle will lead to the mysterious creature that calls to him. The creature he will find at any cost. While in Queensland Park, kids are playing basketball on a street court.
He shoots. He scores.
When Superman bolts into their midst. Queensland Park? I traveled thousands of miles in a heartbeat, but I'm still not where I need to be. Blast! Have to picture Midtown in my mind, then concentrate. Focus! He bolts away again, leaving behind melted tar in his wake.
Okay.
Meanwhile, the atomic skull menaces the Special Crimes Unit.
I'm worried sick about Clark, but if someone doesn't do something, there's going to be a bloodbath. And it looks like that someone has to be me.
Lois runs to the skull.
Darling, I thought I'd never see you again.
Zelda, you've recovered from Electron's brainwashing. You know who you really are?
Yes, my love, at last. But please, get me away from here. I'm so frightened.
Of course, Zelda. For you, anything.
He takes her in his arms and blasts away from the scene. Think what you want about Superman, Perry, but for my money, that Lane woman's the real hero. While in an alley some blocks away, two kids admire Clark's discarded costume.
Mega cool, man. Where'd you find it? Just lying on the sidewalk. Cops are so busy duking it out with that Halloween dude, they never saw me snag it. Old Saul down at Collector's Treasures will pay a fortune for this. Yeah, talk about your bolts from the blue.
Speak of the devil, they say, and another bolt of blue appears in the form of Superman. I believe you have something that belongs to me. Moments later. By focusing, Clark has regained his human appearance along with his costume, with only small sparks all over him. The atomic skull's been here, but where's he gone?
You okay, Superman? You look like you're on fire.
I appreciate the concern, but that's not important now. Maggie?
Miss Lane turned herself over to Martin to prevent bloodshed. He took her with him. That way. With your speed, you should have no trouble catching them.
No trouble? Time was I'd fly around using X-ray vision to spot Lois. But now I can't fly, and when I try to look through things, it's like seeing dozens of spectra at once, without knowing. Huh? That glow, heading in the direction Maggie pointed. Officer, I need your help. Get in. I'll tell you where to drive. New vision must be based on energy, like the rest of my changing powers. And apparently that lets me differentiate between energy signatures. Like the radiation trail left by the atomic skull. All I need to do is follow that trail to its source and... No!
Truck passing through the energy streak. Radiation trail is breaking up.
Superman reaches toward it reflexively, and a burst of energy leaps forth.
Stop!
The truck stops.
What the? I just thought about stopping the truck, and some sort of beam shot from my hand. Magnetism? Can I pull the truck back? Blast! Can't control it. All I did was rip the rear doors off. But the symbols on those metal drums.
Soon. Sure enough, Superman, those guys were illegally hauling nuclear waste through the city. Good thing they crossed our path.
No, not a good thing. Radiation must have polluted the atomic skull's trail, dissipated the energy. I can't see it anymore. Lois is in the hand of a madman, and without my old powers, I'm helpless to do anything about it.
I hate being helpless.
The skull has quieted his radiation to touch Zelda's face with his human hand.
Zelda, my sweet, you look troubled. What can I do to ease your sorrow, calm your heart? Shall I sing for you? Perhaps recite some Millet? That always brought you comfort before. Oh, my eternal love, it pains me so to see you frown.
He's not evil. Not at his core. If I can just reach the man inside. Darling, I might feel a little better if you'd take me to an army base. I mean, we'd both be safe there. And
Never! You're too innocent to realize the authorities are Electron's dupes, and I must remain free to protect this city from those who would turn it into a den of depravity.
no, he's not evil. Just seriously nuts.
While at the Global Wheels Transport Company.
Ah, nuts. We were paid real good to move them tubs of nuclear goo the fastest way possible. But my snitch at the precinct house says the driver they caught is ready to name names. But boss, we still got 3 truckloads of that stuff sitting in the storehouse. Not for long.
Lacking better ideas, Superman paces at the police station. Looks kinda weird. Maybe he's sick. I hate standing around doing nothing, waiting for someone else to act. I should be out finding Lois. But how, blast it? How? Whoa! My hand! It went right through that computer. Ah! What's going on? My head feels like it's swelling, filling with information. Binary code streams across Clark's eyes as light envelops him and the computer. I'm accessing the computer directly with my mind, but it's too much. Head feels like it's going to burst. Have to stop. Can't let this keep me from finding the atomic skull. His mind, adapted to filter his analog super senses over a lifetime, has adapted to filter digital data in the same way. Data flow slowing, focusing on the Joe Martin files. They're giving me an idea. If this all started at a movie revival house, then maybe... He falls away from the desk. Access stopped once I had what I needed. Feel wrecked and don't even pretend to understand this. Superman staggers to the window and bolts out of it. But at least now I know where to go. The abandoned Tivoli Theater.
Zelda, my flower, it seems I must leave you for a moment. I hear sirens in the distance. That could mean someone is in trouble?
Superman appears in a flash of light and a boom of thunder.
Lois, are you okay? You, alive?
Yes, but are you?
Fear not, Zelda. The resurrected fiend won't harm you. Not while you're under the protection of the atomic skull.
The skull tackles the Man of Steel, or energy, through the roof.
Don't know which hurts more, the skull's mule kick punch or his corny dialogue. Now that we're clear of Zelda, you monster, we can finish this once and for... Fiery glow from the waterfront, from the direction those sirens were heading. Innocence may be in peril. Our reckoning, Electron, will have to wait.
The skull abruptly drops Superman and flies toward the harbor, where a fireman helps a sailor out of the water near a barge filled with glowing barrels.
You the captain of that tug? I was, and no job's worth my life. No lives will be lost today. What the? Be calm. There is nothing to be afraid of.
You mean, besides you? Superman arrives soon after the skull, his costume now becoming tattered and torn. Getting better at this. Made it to the dock the first try. Some of my costume didn't, but what's the situation?
Just trying to earn a buck, Superman. Global Wheels hired me to dump those drums of hot stuff at sea. But the loading crew tossed them aboard so fast, some of them broke open. Their insides mixed together, and now the reactor's running wild.
I don't have super strength anymore. Can't fly. How can I?
Have no fear. The atomic skull is here. I'll just remove this threat to the North Pole until it can be.
The skull flies under the barge and lifts it into the air.
Huh? Caustic wastes eating through the timbers. The hull's starting to crack.
Skull isn't fast enough. Can't get that barge away before it splits open. And I can't do a bloody thing about it. Lois arrives on the scene.
Thank heaven, Clark looks tattered but intact. But the atomic skull is still...
Miss Lane, my name's Horton from Star Labs. The man shows Lois his badge. I'm afraid we need your help. I've got to do something. Don't know what's happening to my powers, but it seems to involve energy manipulation. Maybe I can make that work for me. If I create a negative field, one that repels instead of attracts, maybe I can blast that toxic matter into space. Don't know if I can, but I know I have to try. Clark bolts onto the barge, held in midair by the atomic skull. When I grabbed that truck, I just thought about stopping it. So if I concentrate on getting rid of this danger... Huh? Energy from my fingers! Elongating, spiking out! His entire body glows blue as tendrils of light streak out from him, stabbing into the drums! A huge wash of fiery power flows back at Superman. I'm not sending the radiation away. I'm taking it into my own body. All at once. Feels like razors racing through my veins. Oh! There is a brilliant flash, and then stillness.
Chief, what's he doing? I don't know, Simpson. But apparently, it worked. Even I can't keep this together much longer. I must set it down.
Men in radiation suits scan the barge. I don't get it, Chief Warner. The barge is clean. Not one rat in the lot.
I may have judged you too harshly, Electron. You'll still have to pay for your crimes, of course, but...
Lois breaks through the police and runs to the skull.
Darling, you were wonderful.
Ah, sweet Zelda. I can always count on you to...
Once in his arm, she stabs a device into his back.
Wah!
The skull collapses, reverting to his human form.
Excellent, Miss Lane. We figured you'd be the only one who could get close enough to attach that negator rod. It's working perfectly. He's helpless. And you, Zelda?
Superman?
You'd best keep back, Lois. I may still pose a threat to humans.
But you?
I don't know what I am. I don't know a lot of things. All I do know is that in real life, stories don't always have happy endings. Clark Kent, if one can charitably still call this storm of energy held in the shape of a man by will alone that name, is aflame with blue energy and burning brighter than ever before. The next morning, Lois and Clark prepare for the day before their bathroom mirror.
Good morning, sleepyhead, and congratulations. You actually made it through the night without sinking through the bed and into the apartment below. More than a couple of times, anyway.
At least I managed to wake up before I sank through another floor. Made for a restless night, but Clark takes out his Kryptonian metal to bounce his heat vision off of.
Clark, stop! You can't shave that way anymore.
Instead, lightning explodes from his eyes, rocketing Clark out of the bathroom. He bounces off every wall in the apartment in a zigzag pattern. Holy sleep! Sounds like all hell just broke loose in there. Clark finally comes to rest in the hall, with half the metal from the kitchen floating around him. Well, I'm awake now. That's like shaving with ball lightning.
Pretty drastic way to zap a few whiskers. I hope the computers are okay. You seem to have magnetized all the metal in the apartment. Look, maybe you should call in sick today. I think you need a little more time to get used to these new powers.
Meanwhile, Saratak arrives in the big city as his helicopter lands and he jumps off.
Chopper's really dragging his tail this afternoon. Set it down real careful. Where are the mechanics check? What's that?
As he walks away, the rotor hits him in the head, and he angrily lashes out at the machine, lifting it and dumping out the pilots.
Get on the horn of Metropolis SEU. Tell them we got a paranormal situation developing here.
Not nearly as angrily as Lois Lane is lashing out at Simone Denise, however, in the Daily Planet's bullpen. She holds up the day's edition, showing Superman's symbol and the headline, "Up in Smoke."
Superman has saved Metropolis dozens of times, Simone. Then he runs into one little problem and this is how we repay him? A noble sentiment, Sherry. But noble sentiments don't sell newspapers.
Well, Superman has more than a little problem, Lois. He's dangerous, out of control. It's our job to warn.
Warn, Dirk, not sensationalize.
I was under the impression that we were running a newspaper here, not a debating society. Lois, there's a monster at the heliport. That's where your duty lies.
I'm on my way. Clark may be out, Simone, but Perry'll be in within the hour. You'll hear the same thing from him.
And Simone?
You hired me to improve circulation, Franklin. I have another idea that may well strike some sparks.
Last pots are demagnetized. Now I go solid and bingo. Seem to be getting the feel of it now. Soon the shift from energy being to solid will be instinctive.
While turning to get the phone, Clark stubs his toe.
Oh! Keep forgetting that when I maintain a solid form, it's as if I'm really human, not invulnerable. Hello? Oh, hi, Lois. What's up? A monster trashing a heliport near the Queensland Bridge. Thanks, hon. Yeah, I'll be careful. Whatever that means in my present condition.
Superman's energy form bolts into action, leaving Clark's clothes in a heap behind him. He lands at the airport with a blast of force.
Somebody's using me for target practice. But who? Got the direction right. Landing still needs practice. I know that symbol. The being wearing it looks different, and a guy don't forget an aura like that. The creature from the Bottle City. He's here. But how? In this form, I perceive everything as energy. So what is this creature like, really? What does reality mean in terms of my own altered state? If I solidify, I can rein in my perceptions, see him as a physical being, but that would leave me human and vulnerable to whatever powers he possesses. How do I prove I don't want trouble? Got it. Look, I'm reaching out, see? No weapon? No, don't touch!
Saratak makes contact with Superman's energy field and is violently repelled. A feeling that is being shared at that moment by one Jimmy Olsen.
Yow! From you, Cat, that hurts. Sorry, Jimmy, but this comes from over my head. With Vinny Edge dead and the company in an uproar, ratings are everything. And you were hired to boost ratings. Did you think WGBS hired you on to coast on your past successes? You were being groomed for our #1 slot. And last week, you threw it all away to help an old lady into a shelter. You missed the destruction of Gacy's. But I told the board you still had it, but they weren't buying. I said, what is it, Frank?
Sorry to interrupt, Miss Grant, but an unidentified monster and Superman are slugging it out of the heliport.
Well, here's your chance to prove the board wrong. Take the chopper if you need to. Just report the news. Don't try to alter it, and don't be a hero. Get us the dope on Superman, and a big promotion is in the offing. Can you handle it? Handle it? Cat, you're talking to Mr. Action.
A recovered Saratak charges at Superman.
Actions speak louder than words, or something my grandma used to say. Time to let my fist do the talking. Shield Bearer's probably a peacekeeper here, powered to the gills, and overreacting like every cop in Kandor. In the Bottle City, I tangle with bigger and meaner dudes with even weirder powers. I'm a quick study. I seen what he can do, and this time I'm ready for contact.
The powerful prince slugs him, causing bursts of energy to spew forth and burn through the bridge supports. Lightning envelops the entire bridge, shorting out all the electronics, including Perry White's cell phone.
Holy, I need to get through to the planet about this, now! Blasted cell phone's on the blink. Can't help you there, bud. Every instrument I got is down. Whatever's causing this mess, you and me ain't talking to nobody or going nowhere. Heck, man, what's going on out there? We're lucky to be alive.
Great Scott, the bridge! Got to put it right. And yet, right now, there's nothing I can safely do. The creature, where? Coming at me, unfazed, out for blood, and possibly less dangerous to Metropolis right now than I am. Have to take this fight away from Midtown. But how? The other day I managed to manipulate the electrons around my fist to encase it in a solid energy field. Can I do it again? Yes!
Superman's fist crackled with lightning as Seratak leaps at him. He swings it in a wide arc, generating a solid energy field around it as he strikes Seratak, sending him flying. Lois shows up on the ground.
Clark has his hands full. Oh Lord, what happened to the bridge? I only hope no one was badly hurt.
And Jimmy shows up in a helicopter.
This is James Olsen at the scene of Metropolis' most recent disaster, where the destruction of the Queensland Bridge is a mere side effect in this clash of titans. A superpowered haymaker has launched the intruder in an arc over Metropolis.
Seratak leaps the height of a tall building in a single bound as he barrels back towards Superman.
But the creature, now exhibiting independent powers of flight, has turned in midair and is heading like a heat-seeking missile right back at Superman. The WGBS news chopper now takes you into the air for a bird's-eye view as this battle for Metropolis continues.
Creature took everything I had to offer. Looks like he means to give it back, in spades. Have to intercept him.
Clark's entire body bursts with lightning as he charges up.
Move the fight away before we devastate the area.
And blasts into the sky as a wide beam of force, stopping Seratak in midair.
The lightning bolt associated with Superman's new power seems to pass through the creature.
Holy crow!
Superman's energy spikes out in all directions from the impact, leaping from building to building as lightning bolts. The bolts feed images and sounds back to him like nerves carrying data to a brain. After a moment, he recollects himself atop LexCorp Tower, using it as a lightning rod.
Amazing! It was like my consciousness suddenly encompassed the city. And for an instant, I was everywhere. Too much information to process at one time. Too many impressions.
Clark scans the city as best he can.
The creature, where is he? A white-hot gout of energy, an explosion, right in the heart of Midtown.
He leaps down towards the disturbance, and his energy form zaps through the Daily Planet bullpen on the way, singeing papers and destroying computer screens.
Neither Clark nor Perry can be reached, Franklin, and this editorial needs an okay now. Superman, a menace? Dirk, this is pretty extreme. What in blazes was that?
Air's crackling with energy, and the dude with the shield's rolling in like a storm. Stubborn cuss. We fought to a draw. Why doesn't he back off? I think he's only trying to protect his city, but he's got a funny way of doing it.
Seratak slams his fist into the street outside the Metropolis Theater, hosting the witty banter show.
So, Bibbo, I can call you Bibbo? You're about to risk your championship in what promoters are calling the fight of the century.
Superman bolts through the studio, ruining Bibbo's big moment, and whatever Jerry Seinfeld had planned. They'll forgive him, though. After all, Superman's their favorite.
Whatever it was, Witty, the control room's wiped. For now, this studio is history.
Superman impacts the ground next to the blue alien and transfers his momentum into another energy field punch. Meanwhile, Jimmy gets off the chopper by a ladder to the ground.
So far, so good, Angie. Next segment, let's get up close and personal. Hey, Jim, I think that guy's like having a heart attack. Shouldn't we?
Cops will deal with it.
Hurry, kid. You'll miss the action.
Don't dare get near the creature. Can't chance another explosion.
Seratak hurls a taxicab at Superman.
But if I'm careful, get this just right,
he catches it with his magnetic field, reverses the polarity, and...
yes! Instant battering ram!
The cab slams into the prince with great force.
Fun is fun.
Driving him deep into the concrete.
But this is nuts.
This is James Olsen reporting live from... Pray not, Jim. Camera's dead. I figure we've been off the air since When? Best guess? Since that energy storm hit our chopper. Oh, I'm dead.
This is witty banter outside the Metropolis Theater, where a fight I actually didn't start is in progress. He rises and charges back at Clark again. Hey, Olsen, you heard? WGBS is in the toilet. What have you done for ratings lately? I'm getting the real story, Banter. The truth about Superman. Just catch me tomorrow on WGBS News. Superman stops his charge with an energy shield. And they strain against each other.
Meant to use a solid energy field like a wall, but it's that and more. Field actually pulsed beyond my hand this time to enmesh the creature.
Shield bearer extended his force field to encompass mine. Why?
Seratak picks up the glowing man over his head.
It seems to let him grapple with my energy field, with me, as if I were solid.
Why would he deliberately want me to do this?
And hurls him away.
Got to control my reaction. Can't let the shock send me careening. Out of control.
Clark collides with an electric sign downtown. When it falls back to the street.
Where am I? Oh Lord, bombarded by energy all around me, coruscating, corrosive, overwhelming, burying. No!
The Metropolis version of Times Square explodes in showers of sparks as every circuit is overloaded at once.
Great, now he's blacked out the whole city. You're right, Armstrong. Superman has indeed become a menace. I see no recourse but to go with your editorial and warn Metropolis against him.
Next, in Superman 123, New Power, New Glory.
Move! I'm in a hurry here.
What was that you said, Lois?
Sorry, Professor Hamilton, but this traffic is making me crazy. Superman needs your help. If he can escape that creature that's trying to kill him, I'm sure he'll come to you.
Ever since Superman's powers went wacko, I've been expecting this. Dr. Faulkner and I have the Star Labs facility on high alert. All Superman has to do is get here.
Let's pray he can, Professor.
Superman, Reborn. Superman's body now glows white, and his arms have become streams of energy which lash out all around him.
Andy, you getting this on camera? Superman looks like he's seeping out of existence or something. I can't, Jimmy. Superman's surge, or whatever it is, caused every electrical device around to short circuit.
Holy Toledo, we got to help Superman.
Bibbo starts toward him.
No! Stay back! My eyes are useless, but I can hear Jimmy. The last thing I want is for them to get hurt helping me. My vision's a mess. Can't see anything. At least not anything I recognize. Just a kaleidoscope of colors and electrical impulses that... Wait! Maybe the nature of my sight is changing along with my powers. If I concentrate hard enough, think differently about how I comprehend things, I'll be able to see.
The blur of colors begins to resolve into clear images.
Yes, it works! Someone. Jimmy?
Just in time to see Seratak's fist already on its way.
No! You!
Clark is hit with a haymaker and sent flying high into the air, smashing into another electric billboard.
Oh, wow. I think Superman is hurt pretty bad.
That old freako must really have some beef against Superman to go after him like this.
Superman thrashes against it.
Feel like I'm absorbing the electricity from this sign?
Uh-oh. I don't know his name, but he's coming after us now.
Why, I'll rip the horn right out of his head.
Can't hear you over his growl, Bibbo. Did you say his name is Scorn?
Have to do the same thing I did to see. Concentrate harder than ever before. Pull myself together. In order to save Jimmy.
An instant, the blink of an eye, a microsecond. Suddenly, the passage of time those terms describe are like hours to Superman, as he screams down off the sign and towards the prince. Faster than light, faster than lightning. Through instinct alone, a blast of fierce, surging energy is fired. That strikes, ending the confrontation. Seratak is knocked across the city and into the water. But Superman is now nearly formless energy, only his head and hand having shape, and likely only because he's using one to look at the other at that moment.
How did I? What am I? I'll find the creature again. After I get help.
Imagine if your body no longer existed without your constant concentration, if it could slip away like water through a grate and become lost. That is the former Man of Steel's reality right now. Lex Luthor watches the day's events on the news.
Is Jimmy Olsen reporting live from where a formidable monster known as Scorn has just battled Superman himself to a standstill. The real story, though, is Superman's bizarre change of appearance. Rather than a man of steel, it seems Metropolis's greatest benefactor is a man of energy. His mere presence has caused electrical shorts due to power surges all over the city, causing all of us to resort to backup systems.
Indeed, a most unexpected development for the alien.
Lex, you're finally home.
Indeed, Miss Fane, efficient attorney that she is, made sure I spent little time constrained in the local judicial system. The solution to the alien's dilemma could be solved as quickly, but I doubt those simpletons at Star will be able to do so.
Could you do so, my husband?
Easily. As always, the question is this: do I gain more from Superman's suffering or his salvation? And at Star Labs, Lois has joined Kitty and the Professor.
Superman hasn't been seen downtown for quite a while. Maybe he's on his way.
By Godfrey, I hope so, unless he's turning to someone else for assistance.
He's coming here. Count on it.
Didn't know you knew him that well, Miss Lane.
Careful, Lois. Can't let on we're married. You can help him, can't you, Dr. Faulkner? We haven't examined him yet, but I'd say he needs some sort of containment suit.
Sparks leap between the machines in the lab. Danger! Danger! A power surge! I'd wager it's because... A flash of light fills the room.
Superman!
Clark kneels before them, straining to maintain his shape as energy pours out from him.
Superman! Your skin! It's turned blue! How?
Please, it's all I can do to hold myself together. Can't do it much longer.
We have a containment chamber prepared for you, Superman. Right through that door.
Oh my!
Don't even need the door.
He phases into the chamber.
Lois, please don't get too close.
Sensors indicate Kal-El's condition is critical and eroding. Analysis confirms that he will cease to exist within the hour.
That's not enough time.
We can't give up. Get cracking, Doctor.
Superman? No use. Clark doesn't even know I'm here. A few days ago, he could hear a pin drop in Brazil. Now he can't hear me. He's using every bit of concentration he has, fighting to stay alive.
We haven't the time to construct the microcircuitry we need for a containment suit. Unless we get some alien, that is, Kryptonian technology. I comprehend your meaning. I shall deactivate myself now. Kellex drops into Hamilton's arms. It's a start, but I fear it still won't be enough.
Exactly. We need a fabric with special properties. May I offer an option?
Good golly! The Contessa entered, holding a roll of blue material.
As always, we at LexCorp are on the cutting edge of new scientific technologies. This new advanced polymer fabric is no exception. We have monitored Superman's condition, and are convinced this will help him. The Contessa! I don't know if we should involve you in this.
LexCorp is bad news. We'll make our own fabric.
I do not understand your hostility, Professor.
Lex Luthor has burned all of us. Some suspect you're even married to the snake. What's your opinion, Lois? Do we do business with these vipers?
How much longer can Superman survive without the fabric? 30 minutes. We can't possibly develop our own in that time.
Blast! She's forcing our hand.
I shall leave you to debate your options. If you wish, use the fabric. If not, the consequences are yours to live with. Au revoir.
She exits, leaving the roll on a table. Lex Luthor's no friend of mine, or of anyone else in this city.
A few years ago, my mother was dying and Luthor's medicine kept her alive. But there were strings. He used that medicine to blackmail me into a relationship with him. That's the way it is with Luthor. He only gives when he gets something in return. I don't know what he gains by helping Superman, but we can't turn our backs on this offer. I say we use the fabric.
Kitty Faulkner takes the material as Professor Hamilton gets what they need out of Kellex.
Let's get cracking.
This amazing circuitry is just what we need.
And they begin.
Can this possibly work, Professor?
Only time will tell, Lois. Time will tell.
Out on the water, a fisherman goes about his business.
Blast! Half my lobster traps are missing again. What's going on here? I'm gonna...
When Saratak climbs aboard his ship.
Gonna... Holy Moses! What are you? Some kind of sea monster? Don't... My chest! Don't be afraid, human. I mean you no harm.
Startled, the man has a heart attack and collapses.
Too late. He's dying. Life's abandoning him, and it's all my fault. Is that my curse? That death and destruction touch everyone I meet?
Meanwhile, Hamilton and Faulkner put the finishing touches on Superman's new energy containment suit.
The microcircuitry web is complete. I'm ready to weave it into the fabric. 1 more minute and I'll be ready. Hurry! Superman's physical form is gone! We're losing him!
Inside the chamber, Superman is little more than lightning in a costume, straining with his incredible will to retain the shape of a man.
It's done! If Superman somehow retains his consciousness, he should know what to do.
Energy streams through the chamber door and into the suit.
Good golly, he's not even waiting for us to leave. Everybody out.
Are you sure this will work?
The only thing I'm sure of is that if it doesn't work, Superman will be lost to us forever.
A glow concentrates in a field of darkness over the suit as light beams out from behind its casing.
That light!
Not what I expected at all.
And then the lights go out.
The electricity!
Open the door. I have to see what's happening.
Smoke rises from the empty case.
He's gone! Superman is gone!
But a new sun, the last sun of Krypton, burns in the sky over Metropolis.
I'm alive. It was close, but I'm alive.
A clear bolt of power zigzags over the water by the fishing boat.
No time to dwell on the fact. Not while the monster is loose. He should be here, but there's no trace of him. Amazing! Professor Hamilton and Dr. Faulkner did an incredible job. This containment suit allows me to stay in phase with this plane of existence while retaining these new powers. Finally, I can control my powers.
Superman zips and zaps through the clouds with precision and ease, once again master of the air.
And if I phase myself completely into this plane...
In a flash of light, he changes to Clark Kent, instantly beginning to fall.
I become completely human. Oop, forgot that I left my clothes behind when I last changed. This would be an embarrassing way to go out. Better phase back into Superman. Maybe the creature went back to the city. Better check it out.
Superman bolts back across the water. As he crosses the city, new phrases are heard, which will soon become as familiar as, "Look, up in the sky, it's a bird, it's a plane."
Must be a storm coming. I could swear I saw a flash of lightning.
Hey, why is my radio so full of static?
That trail of light headed west. It would indicate.
Indeed, it does, my dear. Well done, Erica, my love. Very well done. In moments, Clark crosses half the country, nearing a familiar farmhouse.
No doubt about it. I'm faster than ever.
Better get this done so I can watch the basketball game.
You must be Kansas State's biggest fan, Martha.
Sorry, but you might miss tip-off.
He phases through the wall before Ma and Pa Kent in his new form.
Well, what do you think of the new improved Superman?
Clark, you told us you'd been going through changes last time you called, but this...
Careful, son. You'll blow every fuse in the house.
Don't sweat it, Pa. I have enough control to prevent that from happening now.
I like the look, Clark, but there's something missing.
The cape?
No, silly. The symbol. You simply must have an S.
That's why I stopped by. Since you designed the first one, I wanted you to see the next generation.
Superman burns a new S-shield into his suit with his finger.
Now I'm ready for the next century.
That's more like it.
I don't understand all those newfangled powers of yours, but you might be even stronger than before.
Could be, Pa. I'll have to spend plenty of time learning the ropes, because now there's an all-new Superman in town.
Ma and Pa wave as their boy takes off into the sky, ready for whatever challenges lie ahead.
Hey, did any of you catch ER last night?
Oh my!
Saratak carries the fisherman into a hospital.
Huh?
This man needs your care. Save him.
It's the monster! Clear out!
What's wrong with you people? Take him.
One brave doctor collects the man.
I think this man is suffering from a heart attack. Get him to treatment room 2.
Hey, where'd that behemoth go?
Fuck. These humans would kill me if they had the chance. I must find a way to communicate.
The prince studies Clark's face in a newspaper.
That face. Something about it. Some kind of connection? I wonder.
Next, Metallo. Lois Lane paces nervously in her apartment, alone.
Where could Clark be? Maybe we didn't get him into the containment suit in time. Or maybe it didn't work. Of course, simply because he vanished doesn't mean something went wrong. Yeah, right. Keep telling yourself that, Lois. But if he didn't come back to our apartment, where? Huh?
She jumps at the sound of thunder.
Easy, girl. Probably just one of the flyboys from Fort Barrington hot-dogging it. If it had been Clark, he would have zapped right in here. I think. No one knows much about his new powers, so... Please, God, let this be...
She picks up the phone.
Ah!
And a huge burst of energy jumps out of the receiver. Look, on the phone line. It's a fax. It's an email. No, it's...
Superman?
Lois stares in wonder as Superman's new energy form assembles before her. Blood and thunder. In the flesh, Lois. Or the closest I can come to it in this form. I'm still basically energy, but I can control it better. Become almost completely solid. The containment suit works, Lois. Whatever happened to me is at least manageable as long as I wear it.
You're sure? I won't get zapped if I...
Well, no guarantees. I'm still new at this, remember? But I feel pretty good about it. Lois touches Clark's face.
Wrong. You feel great.
And kisses him.
You die? You lose your powers increase? An intergalactic tribunal sentences you to death? And now this! Do I do these things to you?
Guess that's what happens when you marry Superman.
Well, technically, I married Clark Kent. Any idea when he's coming back? Something tells me slipping on a pair of glasses won't do it like it used to.
You're right, but I've got a few other tricks up my sleeve. In a flash of light, Superman changes into his Clark Kent form. There. I can shift my powers and outfit away completely. It certainly isn't easy, and it leaves me...
Well, not exactly dressed for the office, that's for sure.
Okay, so I hadn't learned how to shift my clothes before. Luckily, no one's watching. What I was going to say is it leaves me without any superpowers, so right now... I'm freezing. Meanwhile, in the fortress beneath Antarctica, the bottle city of Kandor undergoes more riots and rebellion as the people claim Saratak as a martyr. The city rulers rely on the fear of Tolos to keep them in line, but as time goes on, more people come to believe that Tolos is truly gone, and that freedom is possible. Getting things under control little by little. Not that I have everything worked out yet. I did overshoot the apartment earlier. Then I remembered how the Atom used to travel over the phone lines. I was feeling pretty lucky, so I gave it a try and...
Before you spend your next paycheck on lotto tickets, Clark, you might want to take a look at this.
Today's planet? What's so... Huh? Clark angrily flashes back to Superman.
Easy, Clark.
I'm fine, Lois. In fact, I'm going to practice with my new powers some more. After all, I'd hate to hurt someone by accident. And he storms off. Saratak watches Superman bolt across the sky from a hiding place in Centennial Park. He doesn't understand this world yet, but he wants to. Jimmy hears Superman crackle by the GBS tower. as he also reacts in anger to the planet's headline, Super Menace.
Ouch.
He grabs a cameraman and rushes out to get the scoop on Superman's new powers, more desperate than ever to prove himself. And Perry White is angrier than anyone as he waves the paper, his paper, in Franklin Stern's office.
How in blazes did this see print? What moron authorized it?
I gave it the green light, Perry. As publisher, I can do that. You were out, and the acting managing editor, Clark Kent, was unavailable. As usual. This is my private office, by the way. Next time, I suggest you knock.
Well, then next time I suggest you print the news, Franklin. Armstrong wrote one paragraph of fact and 3 columns of fear-mongering speculation. Is this how we repay Superman's years of public service?
My piece is clearly labeled as opinion, Perry. I witnessed the events and drew logical conclusions.
Logical isn't the word that comes to my...
You should not exert yourself so, Mr. White. I know you have been sick, undergoing chemotherapy. If it will help you feel any better. Today's edition outsold any since the Man of Steel's death.
Who?
I'm sorry. Perry White, Simone Denise. I've hired her to do whatever it takes to get the planet's circulation up. As you can see, she's already produced results.
Yes, I do see. I see the truth taking a backseat to sensationalism, Franklin. I see you'll destroy a man's reputation and everything he's worked for the second he shows any weakness. You might get away with that with Superman, but not with...
Just then, Superman bolts into the office, holding the same front page.
I need to talk to Dirk Armstrong. It won't take long.
He advances on Dirk.
I read your piece in the Planet. It was opinion, Superman, clearly labeled as, and you were right. I was a real danger for a while there. Hopefully, that's behind me now. But I'm glad the Daily Planet will keep an eye on me in case something does go wrong again.
Superman offers Dirk his hand to shake.
Well, I've always said everyone should be accountable for their actions, Superman, from the president to...
Of course. I also think the front page is for hard news and not inflammatory.
Excuse me, Mr. Armstrong?
2 policemen enter.
Hate to interrupt your important meeting like this, but it appears your daughter's been kidnapped from a school. Ashbury?
She won't be gone long, Mr. Armstrong. Not if I can help it. Could you fill me in on the details, officers?
I'll hold the front page, Dirk. I'll get our best people on this. Superman's right. We'll find your daughter, one way or another.
Perry marches through the bullpen to his office.
Allie, where are Lane and Kent?
Saw Lois getting a drink a little while ago, but...
Well, I want her in my office. Now! News doesn't happen around the water cooler. She'll need Dirk Armstrong's personnel file and a copy of that book he wrote. And get Troop to make a list of everyone Dirk defended since he came on staff. We've got a red ball, people. Let's do everything we can to make it a short story with a happy end. And not long as my blasted message light been flashing. What'll I have to do next? Ink the presses myself?
Perry, this is Dr. Smoot. Your latest cancer tests are back. I'd like to see you as soon as possible. This isn't the sort of thing I like to say over the phone. Superman arrives at the docks in a flash. What I wouldn't give right now for 5 minutes of X-ray vision or super speed. Only been a few days, but it seems like a lifetime. Now my only option's old-fashioned legwork, starting along the waterfront, then working up into Suicide Slum. But I'm still Superman, and I won't stop until I find the lowlife who took Ashbury Armstrong. What? Suddenly, a large robot crashes through the wall behind him.
Looking for me, Superman? It's funny. I was looking for you, too.
Metallo?
You remember me? That always touches my heart. Kinda like this.
Metallo extends an arm and impales Superman's chest.
Jacked into the internet the other night. All they was talking about was your new powers. Now a smart guy, I says. A smart guy checked that out.
He swings it, hurling the Man of Tomorrow into a brick wall.
A smart guy'd figure a way to use that situation, which is what I'm gonna do. Assuming that hole I just punched in your chest
Didn't hurt me at all. It's gone. Like it was never there.
That metal maniac's gonna murder us all.
I'm more worried about Superman. I heard he just about killed a bunch of people over in Time's Circle.
Can't control his powers. Read it in the Planet.
That's trash, mister. Look, Superman's fighting to save our lives here. He'd rather die himself than let any of us get hurt. I tell you, it's an honor just being this close to him. Don't matter if he's at full power, half power, got no powers, or different powers. He's still the best. You got this tin-plated troublemaker, Superman. Don't listen to Jerk Armstrong. You got people like Chet Kroger behind you.
Behind and above the shouting man wearing Superman's old symbol lurks a horned visitor. Saratak watches impatiently. He feels he's being forced to solve a puzzle he doesn't have all the pieces to. Something's wrong. Something's missing.
Thanks, Chet. Now, if everyone could please clear the area.
Sure, Superman. Anything you say, pal.
As the crowd disperses, Saratak glimpses a symbol on one of them. It's what he's been looking for, that missing piece of the puzzle. He knows this with an electrifying certainty.
Okay, Metallo, you and me. No innocent bystanders. No teenage girls to kidnap.
Superman charges at Metallo as blazing energy.
I don't need him, Superman. See, I know something you don't. Energy follows a path of least resistance. Since I can rearrange myself any way I want, I can make a path that takes you in one arm and out with the garbage.
Clark is shot out of the robot's arm and into a junked car. As Chet enters his apartment.
Can't believe it. It really happened. Hey, you'll never guess who I met today. Superman, Ashley. The real Superman. Pretty cool, huh? I'm shaking. I'm so pumped. It wasn't just like he was flying overhead. This was up close. And he talked to me. What do you think of that, Ashley?
Chet removes the bound girl's gag.
Ashbury. My name's Ashbury, you moron. And I know you screwed up. Big time. Think I can't identify you because I'm blind? Wrong. I know your voice. I know your smell.
You think you know everything, huh? Just like your old man.
Chet slaps Ashbury across the face.
Well, I know as long as I got you, your old man won't dare do any more bad mouthing.
Superman?
Just then, Saratak smashes through the wall.
Looks like we both been through some changes since the last time we mixed it up, huh, Superman?
Metallo bulks up his form with engine parts.
Me, I can absorb machines, like this car here, and morph my body into any shape I want. And you're like that battery bunny.
That's right, Metallo. I keep going and going.
Superman charges up power in his hand.
Until you're gone.
And punches Metallo with a huge energy fist. He goes soaring over the city.
I do believe I'm getting the hang of that biomagnetic field. Just in time to help me finish things with Metallo, too. Looks like he landed over in the Navy Yard.
And Superman follows.
Right through the reinforced decking of a battleship. Guess I don't know my own strength. Wait, didn't Metallo say he could absorb any machine?
Superman is pierced by metal spikes and pulled into a growing robot body as Metallo taps his power.
Like I said, Superman, a smart guy'd figure a way to use this situation. Like how I'm gonna use you to power my new battleship body. Wait till Metropolis gets a load of the new Metallo. The man with the Superman heart.
Meanwhile, Ashbury Armstrong deals with her rescuer.
Don't know if you knocked that moron out or if he fainted, but I know you're still here. I can hear you breathing. The way you came through that wall, I figure you're either Superman or some other meta bad man. I got a right to know if I'm being saved or traded to Intergang, you know. So which is it, huh? Superman or Bad Man?
Saratak gently unties her.
Bad man?
Yeah, right. So why you setting me free then? And what big arms you have, Grandma. Okay, stop playing games with a blind girl. You've got to be Superman.
Super.
Oh yeah, Dad said you'd been through some changes. Okay, me, Ashbury, you, Superman.
She draws an S-shield on the floor.
See? Superman.
Superman. Superman.
The prince tears the symbol from Chet's shirt.
Batman.
And places it over his own chest.
Superman.
As a 300-foot-tall Metallo wreaks havoc on the ships in the harbor, absorbing a battleship to grow even larger and firing its weapons at the others.
Couldn't do this without you, Superman. I just wouldn't have the heart. Of course, you could try and bust it out, but it ain't gonna happen. See, I'm making sure every one of those paths of least resistance is a closed circuit, keeping me amped up, and you running in circles.
He's right. Can't control my energy enough yet. Can't stop him from siphoning it off. Wait, of course. Superman is living energy, but not.
Superman changes back to his solid body.
Clark Kent.
Hey, who shut off the
The giant robot collapses into parts over the waterside.
power?
Metallo rises from the wreckage in a skeletal form.
Geez, Superman. Barely gave me time to pull together your basic erector set body here. And you think it was easy making that King Kong-sized skull I was wearing? Superman? Well. Not a sign of the Man of Steel. Hope nothing's happened to him. At least, nothing I didn't do myself one way or another. Guess I'll see what sort of trouble I can get into. And if Superman don't show, well, that'll just about have to mean he's lying somewhere dead. Or dying fast.
He walks right past the unconscious Clark Kent, thinking he's just another citizen, as he lies in a pile of rubble with his head bleeding. Continued in Action 733. His name is Clark Kent, and despite his air of optimism,
It worked.
he's dying.
Changing from Superman's energy form to my human state was enough to disrupt Metallo, but I took a lot of damage in the process. Bones broken, bleeding freely. Got to do something. Only chance is turning back to Superman. After all, energy beings don't bleed.
Her name is Lois Lane, and she's very much alive. Alive with the desperate need to find her missing husband. A search that proved successful mere seconds after he formed the thought, energy beings don't bleed. He makes the change. Just in time to discover how horribly wrong he is. Superman's energy erupts from his containment suit everywhere that his solid body was bleeding.
Clark!
The sins of change.
Lois, I don't understand.
Just take it easy. Your panic is creating an adrenaline effect, making you bleed faster. Try to calm down.
Never anticipated this. I guess I carry physical damage along when I change to energy.
But that energy is still you. You control it.
Yes, of course. Have to concentrate. Focus inward. Solidify. And
The energy flows back into his body, and
heal.
the rifts close themselves.
Did it. Containment suit, broken arm, all like new again. Thanks, Lois. Sometimes your level head is my greatest strength. Now that I'm intact again, I'd better get going.
After Metallo or that horn-headed guy?
The one the media calls Scorn? None of the above. For now, neither poses an immediate threat. But to have a chance of stopping either in the future, I need to find out more about myself.
You're going to Professor Hamilton?
No, listening to theory would take too long. I need to talk to someone who's already been through this.
Superman changes fully to energy and travels as a lightning bolt into the sky. Meanwhile, as dusk settles over the metropolis riverside, Metallo wanders, lost in thought.
Feeling antsy. Kinda wired. Ever since I pegged crime as my life's work, I wanted to kill Superman. Now that I've done it, I need some way to celebrate. Let the world know I'm the biggest thing to hit this burg since cheap crack. Yeah, what's that up ahead? Hey, Metallo, you've just wasted the mightiest man on Earth. What are you gonna do now? I'm going to Oceanside.
He heads for the amusement park. While in a lonesome, still corner of Centennial Park, Superman meets with Ray Terrell, inheritor of the legacy and powers of the Golden Age Ray, who also transforms into and manipulates energy.
Thanks for listening, Ray. Your answering that call I sent through the Justice League means a lot.
Life's kinda hectic right now, Superman, but I'm happy to spare a few minutes if it'll help. And from what you told me, you can use a lot of help.
It's just so frustrating. Like learning how to walk all over again. I seem to be made of energy now, but I don't know why, or even how to use the powers this mutation gives me. And since you're made of energy and had to learn to cope with that, I thought you might provide some insight.
Insight? Yeah. Answers? I wish. I don't even have all of those for myself. But it sounds like you may still be in a transition period between your human form and this new energy state. That might explain why you could only zap from one place to another at first, but now you can zap or fly. Really, really fast. It seems to be a matter of increasing control over what you become.
But my containment suit is fabric. How do I make it disappear or change into whatever I want?
Superman imitates Ray's costume. Well, basic science says you can't create or destroy energy, but you can alter it. Maybe you manipulate electrons that touch your skin, reform them into what you imagine? Maybe?
Could be. I know I've learned to focus enough to become human again. It's tough, like clicking on a stubborn light switch. But it stays on until I consciously will myself to change back. The big problem is, whenever I'm human, I can actually be hurt, maybe even killed. Why?
Maybe you're too good at this. In your mind, you see all humans as vulnerable creatures you need to defend. So when you become one yourself, your subconscious mind creates a true, vulnerable human. Or maybe it takes so much will to change there's none left to protect you. Like I said, I don't have all the answers. But hang in there. I learned from experience that you can't deny what you are. Use it. Work with it. Accept it. Because if you fight it, you're only fighting yourself. Ray gives a wave as he takes off, blazing a trail of light behind him. Oceanside Park.
Gosh, Johnny, I'm gonna remember this night for the rest of my life.
Talk about your short-term goals.
What the?
A young couple run as a huge Ferris wheel behind them rolls over the midway, blasting gunfire.
Assimilating this Ferris wheel was the best idea I've had in a minute. Of course, adding machine guns was pure inspiration.
The police return fire,
All right, this must be the shooting gallery.
but they fall under Metallo's assault.
Oh, funsies. Now, which way's the parking lot? I feel like playing bumper cars.
Hey, Drew, boss wants you down at Oceanside Park ASAP. Metallo's tearing the place apart.
Oh, Lord. Sorry, Clark, we'll have to finish this later.
Ron turns to him, but Clark has already jumped out the window, and he changes to Superman in midair. While Metallo trashes the ticket booth in the parking lot.
Assimilating those Beamers and Arties gave me just the punch I was looking for. Huh? Cyrus? Badge-toting party poopers would have to butt in.
The SCU arrive and deploy plasma rifles.
Target the head and chest. Fire at will.
Special crime units playing rough. I can feel that. If I want to tag team it with this bunch, I'm gonna need more juice. Hey, talk about your A-ticket ride.
Metallo heads toward a nuclear power plant across the bay. While elsewhere,
Perry, I called the planet, but they said you'd left. They said you went to see Dr. Smoot. Darling, what is it?
I came home to tell you in person, Alice. This isn't the kind of thing one likes to do over the phone. But first,
Perry gently takes his wife by the shoulders.
I think you better sit down.
Superman bolts to the ground by Maggie Sawyer and 3 SCU war suits modeled after Kryptonian technology.
Lieutenant Sawyer, what's the situation?
Bad and getting worse, Superman. It'll take another 3 minutes to get these battlesuits online. But Metallo should reach that nuclear plant in 2. If he breaches the containment towers, radioactive gas will spread over the city like a blanket of fire.
The villainous cyborg smashes his way to his goal.
Don't have super strength, heat vision, or controlled flight. But what did the Ray say? Accept what I am. Use what I've got. And what I've got is... Superman charges up. A tractor beam.
And blasts Metallo with magnetic force.
Something holding me back. You got more lives than a litter of alley cats. So I guess I'll have to take 'em all, one by one.
The robot becomes a rocket and uses the force against him, slamming into his energy form.
Morphed into a missile. Rode the tractor beam back to me. Dispersed my energy with an electronic pulse. Have to concentrate. Pull myself back together.
All units online, let's go. With Big Blue in the picture again, I better bulk up.
Just as the war suits start up, Metallo blasts himself into one.
What the?
Bail out, Bonzo. This monkey cart's got a new pilot. And I'm bringing your friends along with me.
He dumps out the pilot and extends cables into the other 2 suits. while Superman gathers his scattered energy back into his body.
Almost me again. Apparently, just in time.
Metallo opens fire on him as a giant four-armed warsuit.
Out of the way, bug.
Solid projectiles passing through me, but Metallo's on the move. Have to use the tractor beam, keep him away from...
Superman tries his magnetic beam again.
No, he gained too much mass. Can't hold him back. If he reaches those towers, thousands will die. I can't. Easy, Clark. Panic doesn't solve anything. Think. Remember what the Ray said about changing energy. Last time around, Metallo used a geomagnet to anchor himself to the Earth so he couldn't be knocked over. Maybe I can turn that concept against him. Change electromagnetic energy to geomagnetic force.
The energy beam changes color and shape.
Alter the attraction level of Metallo's body. In essence, increase the gravitational pull around him.
Metallo sinks into the ground.
What the?
1,000-fold.
The robot body is soon buried.
You did it!
For the moment. But you'd better get restraint gear ready. I've learned from experience that you can't keep a bad man down.
A half hour later, Superman stands guard over the sinkhole as the news and onlookers gather around. Kitty Faulkner and Professor Hamilton come to see for themselves that the suit is working well, and Jimmy overhears enough of their conversation to sniff out a story. He asks his old pal, the Professor, if they can talk.
All right, Superman, the null cage is ready. Bring him up.
Tractor beam should have Metallo back on the surface in no time.
Clark blasts the ground and brings the metal body up.
Huh? There's the battle suit, but Metallo's head is gone.
Metallo's head sneaks away on spidery legs.
Played it smart, paid off. When I popped my skull unit off of that body, it broke the connection with the ultra-gravity field.
He glares at the city skyline with malevolence.
But Superman stopped me twice now, and he's gonna pay with his city. By the time the sun rises tomorrow, Metropolis is gonna be nothing but pieces.
Concluded in Man of Steel 68 next week. A huge amalgamation of flesh and metal attacks a subway terminal.
What is that thing? What's it doing here?
Whatever it is, it just got our power supply. Hey, no matter what you look like, that's subway property. That's stuff's top secret. Who do you think you are to take...
It grabs one of the workmen.
The name's Scareware, and who's going to stop me?
Lightning blasts behind him.
As Superman appears. 3 guesses.
Power. The creature grips the box tightly and blasts Superman with lasers, which he absorbs.
Superman?
Got it on the first try. When I got word of trouble here, I thought I might be facing Metallo. Who is this guy? You can dish it out. Let's see if you can take it. Superman responds with blasts from his eyes.
But Scareware vanishes in a puff of smoke.
I can take whatever I want, wherever I want.
He's gone. Teleported away. What did he take?
Experimental safety device. For all the good it'll do him. Papers are nuts saying your new powers make you a menace. No matter what, you're a good man. Well, with that horned giant still loose, not to mention Metallo, and goons like that one, Metropolis couldn't do without you.
Train's coming. Better get to safety.
You bet. Thanks, Superman.
Saratak watches him from hiding.
He's gone in a flash of energy. The good man. The shield bearer they call. Superman.
He considers the S-shield in his hands.
Strange world I've stumbled into. So different from Kandor, and yet, in many ways, just the same. Real good, existing cheek by jowl with evil. I feel it now, pulsing behind me. There, one of those the natives here call Bad Man.
Saratak turns just in time to see Metallo's spidery head drop onto a subway train.
Swore I'd kick Metropolis apart.
The train leaps off the track as he reshapes it. And all the people rush out.
The subway car! What's happening?
Get out! Move it! Just didn't think it'd be this easy. No body, no head, enough raw power to destroy a good chunk of Metropolis, and a soul as dark and evil as sin itself. Up through concrete, pipe, and gas mains. Up to the street.
Metallo's gigantic robot body bursts up through the concrete.
And now, to grand finale. direct from the third rail. A spark.
His foot touches the track. Gas explodes all around him as he laughs, propelling his old robot head from his giant new mouth with glee. As Jimmy wraps up his interview with Professor Hamilton, now that he's got the information on Superman's new powers, he's sure he can write his own ticket at GVS.
A freak explosion has ripped through a subway station ignited by a giant transforming robot believed to be the cyborg menace Metallo.
Metallo hides in the architecture of a building.
Incorporating that passenger's Walkman was a stroke of brilliance. Tapping into the news lets me know Metropolis is getting the message. And this is just the beginning.
Gas is off, but there's no hope of salvaging these old tenements. Our main concern is the people who are still trapped there. And with those new powers, I'm afraid Superman won't be much help. As Superman stands on the building's roof with the citizens, holding them all in a circle of light.
Stay calm. My solid energy field should act as a fire break long enough for the firemen to position their ladders.
No time. The roof. My God, it's collapsing.
No! They'll die!
Superman holds his field around them as they fall through the burning building.
Can't let that happen. But how?
The field bounces and cushions their landing.
Must go with flow.
We're alive?
And look, where we landed, the flames gone out. It worked. Even better than I hoped. Now, can I do that on a larger scale?
This is James Olsen for WGBS, as Superman uses his solid energy field like a blanket to smother the flames. Several blocks away, another life-threatening situation is developing.
Firemen try to enter a high window when...
Another explosion. The ladder bent and twisted. The firefighter's falling. As fast as he is, this Superman can't be everywhere. I can help, if the natives of this world will let me. Wish I could speak more than a few words of their language. I know, I'll wear the shield too.
Sarachak ties the cloth around his arm.
Then they'll know that I'm also on their side.
And he leaps into action to rescue the firemen.
Look, up in the sky, the horned monster Superman fought just days ago. Is this how the lives of those heroic firemen will end?
The monster's attacking.
No, he put them down. They're okay. Who'd have thunk? Hey, what's that on the creature's arm?
Monster or not, he saved our tails. Like my ma used to say, pretty is as pretty does.
Well, right now, old Hornhead looks like one of heaven's brightest angels to me. And there's another beautiful sight. This is indeed a night for miracles. Professor Hamilton has speculated upon the many possible uses of Superman's new energy powers. Now we see an example as Superman extends his solid energy field to surround a block of burning buildings. And smother the flames. As Hamilton stated, the containment suit has enhanced its control immeasurably. At this rate, Superman will have this fire out in minutes.
Metallo watches as Superman returns to his normal form.
Will he now? Then it's time to up the ante. Better stay tuned to Olsen, though. Wouldn't want to miss any other helpful hints on what my next move ought to be.
The robot launches his head into a helicopter.
Now for my first order of business. Rockets plus fuel storage tanks.
He drops the passengers and attacks a building with his new body.
Equals one heck of a distraction. Hey, super jerk, smother that.
Superman catches the falling pilots.
This is more of Metallo's work.
Superman bolts to the new fire to put it out.
I've spotted him now. I need to go after him. But if I do, this blaze will spread to nearby tanks, and I could lose half the city. And the devil of it is, I know that while I'm dealing with this disaster, Metallo is one step ahead of me, creating another crisis in which hundreds, maybe thousands, could die.
Yes, sir, folks. If Superman can smother this monster blaze, he can smother any fire that needs oxygen to burn. It would take a nuclear disaster to challenge his kind of mastery.
Bingo.
Metallo flies to the naval yard.
Unauthorized helicopter, sir, heading for the shipyard.
I don't know, sir. It's not like any chopper I've ever seen.
Looks like I gotta go nuclear to take out Energy Boy.
And connects to a submarine.
No problem. No percentage of thinking small. when there's a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier to be had for the taking.
Tentacles extend from the submarine and wrap around another ship. Metallo stands up, the aircraft carrier now forming his chest as he towers over the waterfront.
Now I got me a form that'd send Godzilla running for the hills. Hey, Metropolis, let's rock and roll.
It's Metallo. He got our ship, and he's shaking us off like cooties.
Well, hell, all those crazy changes have probably gone to his head. Probably scared one of us might turn into Steven Seagal.
Jimmy reports from the waterfront.
Finally, Metallo has made a move Superman may not be able to counter. According to Professor Hamilton, Superman can absorb, even alter most forms of energy. But an attempt to contain the enormous power that drives that ship would surely destroy him.
Professor Hamilton watches on TV as Jimmy reports from the waterfront.
Can't Jimmy see what's happening? Twice now, Metallo has changed tactics in response to his broadcast, based on information I gave him.
Thanks, Olsen. It just don't get any better than this. I kill Superman, like I always meant to do, and he takes Metropolis out with him. Hey, Sparkplug, over here.
Metallo launches missiles at the city.
Missiles. No problem. I hope. Need to get ahead of them, throw up an energy field, and absorb their momentum. Stop them the same way I've learned to stop bullets.
Superman races after them and casts his energy field out.
No! They ripped through my field like bullets through cloth. How? Of course, spread too thin. Didn't consider their mass. I can grab one electromagnetically.
He throws a beam with his hand and one missile is torn away from the pack.
But 4 others are still streaking toward Midtown.
As Hamilton rushes to the scene in his homemade solar-powered car.
Move it, you solar-powered jalopy. We've got a job to do. Whether he knows it or not, young Olsen is feeding Metallo information. I've got to stop it before that monster robot uses that information to kill Superman.
Barely time to try again. Deal with the scale problem. Need a different approach. This time, expand my body. Big enough to catch them, but remain dense enough to stop.
Superman bolts into their path. The missiles pass partially through his enlarged form.
No! Impact of my solid energy field cracked their casings. They're leaking radiation. Got to absorb all of it.
Superman appears stunned, fighting for control as he literally roils with energy, as the now inactive missiles tumble groundward.
Those missiles may be empty shells, but even shells can kill.
Saratak, also now known as Scorn in this place, leaps forward.
Huh. Got them. Big, heavy. Need to hold on. Break their fall.
Scorn guides the missiles safely to the ground as Superman struggles to contain the power within him.
Scorn caught the shell. Thank God. Maybe I misjudged him.
Later, when this is over, I have to find him, try to communicate.
I've had it with your interference, pal. You wanna play Superman? Then die like Superman.
Metallo blasts the prince with an energy cannon.
No! Only one way to stop him. Absorb the radiation. Change it into the biggest lightning bolt Metropolis has ever seen.
Superman turns to energy and strikes through Metallo, blowing a hole in the carrier. But Metallo quickly refills it.
Good try, Electro Boy, but you're shooting blanks. Here's one right back at you.
Metallo turns his cannon on Superman, sending him flying several blocks.
A blast of the high-test stuff that drove the carrier's nuclear engines. Catch it all, stupid man. Absorb every drop. Huh. Even Olsen says you can only take so much.
Jimmy? What's he got to do with this?
The robot pours on the heat, blasting energy into Superman, and he grows to match the monster's size.
Pretty soon now you're gonna blow sky high. And you'll take every person in Metropolis with you. And me, I'll just fly away.
You're half right, Metallo. In trying to save Metropolis, I may have become its greatest danger. But one thing's certain. When I go, I'm taking you with me.
Superman plunges his arm into the massive metal man's chest.
His head, reaching into me, crushing the nuclear engine that powers my body. Power pouring out of me. and in the end, taking everything.
The robotic Hulk collapses as Superman, still the size of a building, strains to contain the energy.
Have to absorb the radiation. Every trace. Contain it all. The pain beyond imagining.
Superman has won! For in the process of removing the energy that drove this giant robot, he has drained Metallo himself. Now as Superman struggles to restructure the radioactive energy roiling...
Olsen, that's enough.
Professor Hamilton, what?
You see that headset on Metallo's skull? He was tuned to your broadcast, using information I gave you to orchestrate his attack.
He was?
And if Superman does what I think he's going to have to do, we may have doomed him.
Can't contain all this power, or render it harmless.
Superman rockets high into the atmosphere.
Space. Have to reach space before.
And explodes.
You with your blind ambition, me with my mindless babbling. Together, with the best of intentions, we helped kill Superman.
Oh, Lord, no one could live through that.
Not even Superman.
Continued next week in Superman 124. The end. Pretty much. That's the final issue of this part, but to avoid ending on a cliffhanger, I'll show what happens to Superman as he is rescued by Booster Gold, created by Superman writer Dan Jurgens. Both Metallo and Scorn are safely attended to by the authorities, though Superman has vanished. Luckily, Booster Gold unveils himself from within the crowd, and launches into the sky after him. He finds Superman's empty containment suit, and holds it, as Superman begins to recollect his energy into it. His robotic pal Skeets advises him that the energy flow is too great and will destroy the suit, and so Booster uses his own suit's energy field to stabilize it and avoid destroying what might be the only thing keeping the Man of Steel alive, although Booster's armor is trashed in the process, including Skeets. Superman returns to himself just in time to bolt down and catch the falling Booster Gold before he hits the ground. During the fall, Booster notes that, "I gotta live to see the 4th Star Wars movie." Ah, man, those are the days. Those were the days. The two greet each other as old friends, as they have a shared history, both in Metropolis and the JLA. Booster tells Superman the whole reason he came to town was to repair his own suit, which is now fully destroyed. Superman takes Booster to Professor Hamilton's lab, and he agrees to help make a new one for him. Using the leftover material and Kryptonian circuitry from Superman's own containment suit and the remains of Booster's suit, Hamilton is able to make him a new suit even more powerful than his last, and he retained the consciousness of Skeets inside it as well. Just like Superman, Booster Gold is now ready for the new century. Well, I hope you've enjoyed the start of the Electric Blue Superman saga. I loved it at the time, and ever since it's been one of my most often reread Superman stories, from over 20 years of collecting. I found it very interesting, and I already like the heroes with energy powers the best, because it gave the artist more interesting things to draw. Then they made my favorite hero Superman into one of them, and he's even my favorite color too. It felt like it was designed just for me, and I thrilled to his adventures for the entire run. I even put the logos on a suitcase that I would take on trips for the next several years. Made it very easy to spot at airports, but nobody ever knew what that blue symbol was on the other side. And so I got to explain it to a lot of people, and it was a lot of fun. Ended up being a great conversation piece. And I still have the suitcase to this day. That glitter glue lasts, man. You know, the gel stuff, like 1997 to now. Not bad. Anyway, I plan to return to this saga and adapt more of it as time goes on, much like my long-running Green Arrow series, as it's all high-quality storytelling and action. I'd like for you to feel what it's like to have Metropolis exist as a real place that you can come back to time and again. So while I don't know when the next part will come out or how many there will be, I do plan to carry this through to the end eventually and tell the entire saga, up through Superman dividing into two separate beings, Superman Red and Superman Blue, and finally the Millennium Giants crossover event, which caps the whole thing off. The saga would run for just over a year until Superman Forever, in which his old powers would finally return. But after this whole experience, things would never truly be the same again. Because the best part of comics was, what are they going to come up with next? But for the time being, we were all very glad to have the old Superman back. And everything once old and classic had become new and fresh again. So when you think about it, it revitalized the whole line in a very short amount of time as comics go. I hope you don't consider it meaningless because it's not permanent. These things always go back. A year in comics like this with 4 books, that's a lot of story. It felt like a good long while. And I hope you'll feel that by the end. So I hope we'll see you later for more. But that's all for right now. Take care out there, everyone. And, as always, thanks for watching.